At 0700 on October 4, 1943, Colonel Hubert Zmpy stood on the hard stand at RAF Haleworth, watching mechanics refuel 52 Republic P-47 Thunderbolts. The crisp morning air carried the scent of aviation fuel, anticipation, and danger. Today, these fighters would escort American bombers deep into Germany. Zmpy, 29 years old with 6 months of combat experience and 4 confirmed kills, knew the odds. The Luftwaffe had sent 180 Focke-Wulf 190s and Messerschmitt 109s to defend the industrial targets his bombers would hit. Every pilot climbing into those cockpits knew the numbers and the risks. The P-47 Thunderbolt was a heavy aircraft, weighing 7 tons empty. Its German counterpart, the Focke-Wulf 190, was less than 4 tons. In a turning fight, physics dictated the outcome. The lighter fighter could turn tighter. The heavier one could not. Zmpy's 56 Fighter Group had felt this reality painfully. In the first 4 months of combat, they lost 11 aircraft, 4 pilots killed, 7 captured. The Germans even nicknamed the P-47 the Jug, short for Juggernaut, a flying tank incapable of dogfighting. Bomber crews watched their escorts struggle to stay with them when the Luftwaffe attacked, witnessing the limitations firsthand. But Zmpy saw something the Germans didn't. While the Thunderbolt couldn't turn like a Focke-Wulf, it could dive. Its massive Pratt & Whitney R-2800 double Wasp engine generated 2,000 horsepower. Its thick wings and sturdy frame remained stable at speeds that would tear lighter aircraft apart. Zmpy stopped fighting the Luftwaffe on their terms. He developed new tactics built around the P-47's true strengths: height advantage, diving attacks, hit-and-run maneuvers, and using momentum rather than turning. Through the summer of 1943, the 56th Fighter Group trained relentlessly. Dive bombing runs, high-speed gunnery passes, energy management, every pilot learned to think in 3 dimensions. Altitude became currency, speed became life, and turning with the enemy became taboo. By September, Zmpy's pilots were ready, but bomber losses continued. On September 17th, 8 B-17s were downed over France before the P-47 escorts even arrived. The strategic bombing campaign was faltering. October 4th would test everything. 52 Thunderbolts climbed to 30,000 feet, 8,000 above the bomber stream. Zmpy's plan was simple but deadly. Dive on the unsuspecting Luftwaffe, strike hard, climb, and repeat. The Germans expected American fighters alongside the bombers, slow, predictable targets. They had no idea what was coming. At 0952, Zmpy spotted the German formation assembling ahead of the bombers. 73 Focke-Wulf 190s climbed into attack position. Zmpy rolled into a 70-degree dive. 51 Thunderbolts followed, engines screaming, propellers biting into the thin air, airspeeds climbing past 400 miles per hour. The German pilots never saw them. The first burst of .50 caliber fire tore through a Focke-Wulf's cockpit. In seconds, it was over. 1 high-speed pass, 1 deadly strike, then dive back to altitude. Zmpy had calculated everything: the P-47 speed, its climb rate, its firepower. Physics was on their side. By 10:03, just 11 minutes after the attack began, the bomber stream was safe. 0 bombers lost, no American pilots injured. 21 German aircraft destroyed, another 8 probably destroyed, 16 damaged. The Luftwaffe had no answer. Zmpy's tactics had turned the P-47 from a liability into a weapon that dominated the skies. The proving ground continued through October. Missions to Bremen, Munster, Augsburg, and Schweinfurt saw the 56th Fighter Group execute high-altitude diving attacks repeatedly, destroying enemy fighters while keeping American bombers safe. Even when ZMPY was away, his deputies followed his methods flawlessly. By October 31st, the 56th had destroyed 39 German aircraft in 1 month, proof that the P-47, heavy and underestimated, could achieve air supremacy. In November, the Luftwaffe scrambled to adapt. Experienced commanders studied the American diving tactics, but nothing worked. The P-47s weren't protecting bombers, they were hunting German formations. Vertical positioning, energy management, and high-speed attacks gave them an insurmountable edge. Missions continued through December, as ZMPY briefed every fighter group on his methods. The key was simple. The P-47 couldn't turn, so don't turn. Use height, speed, and surprise. February 1944 marked the next evolution. Modified external fuel tanks extended the Thunderbolts' range to reach Berlin. Takeoff with heavy tanks required precise timing. Burn fuel on the climb, drop tanks over Holland, cross into enemy territory at combat weight. The 56th executed perfectly, intercepting hundreds of Luftwaffe fighters, attacking in vertical passes, and protecting bombers over deep German territory. Berlin, the heart of the Reich, had never seen American fighters before, and ZMPY's pilots dominated the skies there. The lessons didn't stop with Berlin. When D-Day came, the 56th Fighter Group ensured total air superiority over the Normandy beaches. German fighters never reached the landing zones, and the invasion succeeded partly because of the relentless P-47s that patrolled, intercepted, and destroyed enemy aircraft. Every day through June, July, and August, they flew sorties, strafed German convoys, destroyed fuel depots, and neutralized threats to Allied forces. By August 1944, ZMPY was reassigned to the 479th Fighter Group to train pilots on P-51 Mustangs. The 56th continued its operations under Lieutenant Colonel David Schilling, maintaining the same dominance and efficiency. The group produced 39 fighter aces, including legends like Francis Gabreski, Robert Johnson, and Schilling himself. They understood the mathematics of air combat, the physics of altitude and speed, and the necessity of controlling the fight on their own terms. By the war's end, the 56th Fighter Group had flown 447 missions, 19,391 sorties, and 64,432 hours of combat. They destroyed 677.5 German aircraft, the highest total in the European theater of operations. The P-47, once seen as too heavy and clumsy, had become the most successful American fighter in Europe. Not because of changes to the aircraft, but because of the tactics, the discipline, and the courage of men who refused to fight the enemy's fight. ZMPY survived the war, retired as a full colonel, and left behind a legacy of tactical innovation. His methods influenced aerial combat for decades, from the jet age to Vietnam. The 56th Fighter Group continues today, training F-16 pilots at Luke Air Force Base, Arizona, a living testament to lessons learned at high altitude in 1943. This story is about more than planes and battles. It's about strategy, courage, and the power of adapting to reality rather than wishing it away. ZMPY's P-47s may have been heavy, but the men who flew them thought fast, climbed higher, and struck harder than anyone expected. They changed the air war over Europe, saved countless lives, and proved that the right tactics can turn a liability into a legend.